Welcome to the Middle East Teaching and Learning Conference. My name is Dara Ryan, and I am the Deputy Head and Head of Teaching and Learning at Nahda Academy in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Today I'm going to be talking to you about my experience of journaling and how journaling can develop language for EAL learners in mathematics. If you have any questions as I move through the presentation, you can ask me via the Q&A section on the app and I'll be able to respond to you at the end. Thank you for making the time to listen to my presentation. I hope you find some value in my shared experience of journaling. Just a little bit about my background. I trained as a primary teacher in the UK and I worked in a school in Southampton for the first 3 years. It was here that I first explored the concept of maths mastery, and I became a huge advocate of this approach. I was lucky enough to be part of a teacher research group with the Solent Maths Hub, where I introduced maths mastery to my school and got to work alongside some very talented Shanghai maths teachers. When I moved to Saudi Arabia, it was the fact that Nahda Academy were using a maths mastery approach to teach maths to their students that attracted me to this school. And that, in turn, led me to journaling. My presentation today will begin with an introduction to our context here in Nahda Academy in Saudi Arabia. I will share a little bit about our school and our students so that you can get an insight into our demographic and teaching and learning setting. I will then share a little about our journey with maths and particularly journaling so far, since we opened our school doors in 2017. Then I will give you a glimpse into how things have progressed over the past 4 years and how we have evolved with our journaling, sharing some insightful lessons that we have learnt along the way. I will finish by presenting some top tips to you on our journaling journey that we have learnt along the way and some of the main benefits that we have seen. And then I will answer any questions that you may have. As I mentioned, our school, Nahda Academy, was founded in 2017 by Miss Fatima Nagy, who is, in my opinion, a visionary. She recognized the need for a forward-thinking and progressive provider of education in Saudi Arabia, and she designed our school to address key gaps that were evident in Saudi university graduates' skill base. We are a bilingual school, and this bilingualism is extremely important to us. Our bespoke curriculum is adapted from the British national curriculum to provide high standards of education that are aligned with Saudi culture and our Islamic values. Our curriculum is delivered in both Arabic and English, and this provides us with many opportunities, but also some challenges, particularly with our language development. To give you a little insight into our school and our students, we are a private school based in an affluent area of Jeddah. The majority of our students are Saudi nationals, but many of them have travelled internationally and completed some of their education outside of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We have a really wide mixture of children who speak English at home and children who speak Arabic at home, and their language abilities in either subject vary greatly. This is a huge part of the reason that we decided to introduce and develop our journaling at Nahda Academy. As maths is known as the universal language, we quickly realised that maths was one lesson every day where language barriers were broken down for our students, and whether the children spoke either English or Arabic, they could communicate. Our journaling journey. Quite quickly after we opened, we decided to adopt a maths mastery approach to teaching maths at Nahda. For those of you who aren't familiar with maths mastery, it is not just a way of teaching, but a belief system. It's a belief that every child can achieve and should be given the opportunity to excel. We do not group our students or put ability labels on them. We give all students access to the same learning objectives, and we provide scaffolding for any struggling learners and deeper thinking opportunities for our advanced learners. We started using a fantastic scheme called Maths No Problem to supplement our mastery approach. And in 2019, I attended a conference with the Singapore maths specialist and lead consultant for Maths No Problem, Dr. Yip Van Haar. It was here I was introduced to journaling, and I immediately fell in love with the concept. But I found it difficult to get information on how to approach journaling, how to train your teachers in it, and how to roll it out in school. When I attended the Maths No Problem conference in Dubai a few months later, where I spoke on a panel about our Maths No Problem journey, I got to network with lots of other schools and to talk to them about how they were using journaling. The main take home point I got from that was that there was no right or wrong way to do it. You just need to find out what works for you. How you use maths journals in your classroom will depend on the needs of your learners. You can use them daily during lessons, you can ask your learners to write entries at the end of a lesson, or you can use them only for particular lessons. There is no correct way to use journaling in your class. You just need to find what suits you. And so I went back to Nahda Academy and I worked with my maths team to introduce journaling across the whole school. And it took some time and we learned some lessons, but eventually we recognized how we needed to journal and the huge benefits our students were reaping from this journaling in lots of different ways, but particularly in their language development. And then, just as we were feeling nice and settled and confident in our delivery, the pandemic arrived and we had to very quickly move online. And so began a new part of our journey where we had to adapt and be creative and move journaling to an online platform. And actually, it was the best thing we ever did, and we learned so much, and our pupils actually love journaling even more. It was so successful that we have now started using this type of journaling technique across the rest of our curriculum, which I will tell you more about soon. First, let me explain a little bit more about what journaling is. Journal writing, according to Hashimia and Merzey, is a means of self expression and has been used in many disciplines such as psychology, sociology, education, and even mathematics. And it remains a valuable teaching and learning tool in many classrooms because it not only teaches the students to write, but it also encourages them to share their experiences and ideas. As I mentioned previously, mathematics is a universal language, and we recognized quite quickly that journaling in maths was a great way for our students to communicate their thinking with us and with their peers. It gave them confidence because they could choose the means in which they communicated, and because our focus was not on getting answers correct, but on the thinking process that the children went through when trying to solve a problem. Not only does journaling allow our students to communicate, but it also gives them ownership over their learning and it allows them to reflect as they move through their learning journey. Kay Burke, author of How to Assess Authentic Learning, states journal writing provokes more reflection and encourages students to take charge of their learning and their feelings. Journals help students make connections between what is really important to them, the curriculum, and the world. To look more specifically at journaling in maths, I'm going to explain to you how we journal with Maths No Problem, because this was how we embarked on our journaling journey, and the 5 different types of journaling that Maths No Problem advocate have been invaluable to us. I love this quote from Maths No Problem. Think of journaling as the icing on the maths mastery cake. But actually, for us, I think journaling is even more than that. Maths No Problem journal entries follow a simple format. The date and the title are at the top of the page, followed by a problem to solve and space for your learner to respond underneath. There are 5 different types of journal entries: descriptive, evaluative, creative, investigative, and formative. We often say that you've only learned something if you can teach it to someone else. Journaling allows children to do just that by explaining, convincing, and justifying their responses. Investigative journaling involves children exploring a problem and drawing or writing their methods in whichever way they please. Children can be extended here by showing you in many different ways or by using a range of methods. These tasks can be good to use in a group for great discussions and collaboration. These are some examples from our Nahda Academy students. Creative journaling allows children to use their imagination and to make up their own stories, questions, and models. These provide challenge by offering high ceiling problems. Some examples of creative journaling include creating your own number problem or odd one out question, creating a word problem or a representation, writing a relevant story to go with a picture or a calculation, or you can ask your students, if this is the answer, what could the question be? Evaluative journaling involves evaluating a method and prompting students to reflect on how useful a method is to them. They may need to explain someone's mistake or justify their preferred method to solve a problem. Questioning is key here and helps children to think deeper. Key questions could include which method was best, why? Why did you choose this method? How can you prove that it's the best method? Why would you not recommend using a different method for this problem? Or you can ask them to convince you that you are right or convince you that you are wrong. Descriptive journaling asks children to describe the methods they have used or to explain a concept. This allows teachers to identify any misconceptions. You can ask pupils to write instructions on how to solve a problem, to take photos of manipulatives that they've used and explain how they use them, or to create a poster of a concept. Mathematical language is key here, so you can have vocabulary displayed around the room, and you can give them STEM sentences to aid in using the correct terminology. Descriptive journaling has been a real focus for us at Nahda Academy, because we really wanted to improve the mathematical vocabulary that the children were using to describe the precise steps involved in a method. Here's an example of a video descriptive journaling entry from one of our Year 6 pupils.
Today I'm going to be teaching you how to add a half and a quarter. Top tip, don't add the denominators. Step 1, convert a half to quarters. To do that, you're going to need to change 2 to a 4, so you're going to times 2 by 2. 4 is your new denominator. So now that you've multiplied 2 by 2 to get 4, you're going to have to multiply 1 by 2 because you did that to the denominator. Now that you've done that, your new fraction is 2 quarters. Step 2, add 2 quarters and a quarter. So you're not going to add the denominators, so your denominator is going to stay the same. So you're going to add the numerators, so 2 plus 1 is 3. And that's your answer, 3 quarters.
With formative journaling, pupils can reflect on their learning and prove whether they have understood a concept. Pupils will be able to say what they're good at, but also what was challenging for them. These are great self-assessment tools for the pupils. By using the checklist at the end of each topic, you can get them to prove that they are secure in each objective. There are also lots of great questions that you can ask to help them with their journey, such as what mistake did you make? How did you learn from your mistake? What did you notice? What did you know before and what do you know now? Does this problem remind you of any other work that you have completed? Maths No Problem provides an anchor task for students to explore at the beginning of every lesson, and it's usually this anchor task that we journal about. What we quickly realised when we started designing journaling tasks is that you need to think carefully about how you can provide different types of journaling opportunities that are linked to a problem. It's very easy to provide investigative journaling because these are naturally linked to solving the problem, but you need to be more creative in coming up with the other types. Here is an example of the 5 different types of journaling linked to one simple problem. So for this question, you can ask investigative journaling by asking, show the children to show how you solve this problem. You could give them a creative journaling task by asking them to write their own word problem that's similar to this and to think about how they could make it challenging for others. For descriptive journaling, you could ask them to write a set of instructions for a friend on how to solve this problem. For evaluative journaling, you could ask them which method do you think is best to solve this problem and why. And for formative journaling, you could ask them, how well did you do with solving this problem? Did you find it easy or hard? Did you notice anything along the way? So over the past few years, we have learned a few things along the way, and we have made some adaptions to our journaling provision. We started out by giving students free rein over the blank pages of their journals, but we quickly realised that they needed more structure. Their journals were messy, disorganised, and often difficult to read. They got overexcited at the option of using colour, and they focused more on creating rainbow writing than explaining a method. First, they needed modelled examples to see different ways that they could present their ideas, and then they could gradually be given more choice. We also naturally focused on investigative journaling a lot more than any other at the beginning, and we had to do some research, staff training, and share good practice to understand how to provide a wider range to our students. Our journals used to be filled with calculations and pictures that were not always relevant to the problem. But with structured support, vocabulary banks, STEM sentences, and other tools, we now have journals that are filled with mathematical language. Our reluctant writers have found ways to communicate their thinking with labeled diagrams, bullet points, and clear models that they now have the option to journal through audio and video presentations. We have also convinced our reluctant teachers that journaling is for everyone, even the 5-year-olds who don't know how to hold a pencil. On our journey, we've had to make lots of changes, and we've worked hard to analyse the impact that journaling has had on the students' learning. We have run numerous workshops and provided lots of CPD opportunities for teachers, including demonstration lessons, coaching, and professional learning communities. We have created success criteria for the students and for teachers to assess each type of journaling, and we have introduced teacher models on flip chart, as a whole class on display boards, and with an individual teacher journal that can be shared. We have regularly surveyed our students to understand how they feel about journaling and to help support them with the areas they feel less confident with. For example, we heard from our students that they found descriptive journaling particularly challenging when they had to write instructions, so we worked on other ways of communicating their methods, and we introduced video journaling using a tool called Flipgrid, which increased engagement hugely. We also ran a journaling design competition where students designed new logos to go with the colours we had chosen for the different types of journaling so that they could recognise each type discreetly and also recognise if we use journaling in a different subject other than maths. Where that has all led us to now is that we set standards across all year groups so that every class completes journaling at least 3 times a week, and we track the different types used so that we ensure there is a variety. We moderate journals regularly to make sure that children are getting the opportunities they need and are sufficiently challenged and supported in their journaling. We also assess our students on their journaling, and they self-assess as part of their steps to success. We then report to parents on the journaling too, and students set themselves goals in these areas. Our pupils engage in journaling from year 1 to year 7 and will continue to do so as they move through the secondary school. We are also very excited to introduce journaling to reception pupils in September. We regularly moderate to monitor the progression of journaling across our school, and students love to share their journals with classes that are below or above them. And now, after some ups and downs, challenges and successes, I have some words of wisdom to share with those of you who may be considering embarking on a journaling journey or who may have already started implementing journaling in their classroom. My first top tip is to discuss the journaling task before the students record it. This gives you the opportunity to pick up on any misconceptions, and it gives the students time to share ideas before they journal. Model the journaling task in different ways to give students ideas and help them organize their thoughts. Use writing prompts. This will help embed the language, and after a while the students won't be so reliant on them. Don't mark journals formally, but do ask a question in a child's journal to prompt them to think deeper or to explain in a clearer way. Read the journal entries and make sure that the students know that you are listening to the thoughts that they are communicating to you. Be creative and use different formats for children who writing may be a barrier for. Adopt journaling in other curriculum areas. Evaluative journaling can be great when students reflect on how an experiment went in science, or if they're comparing 2 pieces of creative writing. Don't be afraid to start journaling from the very youngest cohort. Just adapt it to suit your students' needs. Make it fun, and keep asking your students if it's actually fun, or if you need to make some changes. And finally, give pupils choice, but in the right way. Make sure they understand how to organize their ideas and communicate each type of journaling before handing them a blank page and saying, off you go. As we prepare for a new academic year with new changes ahead of us, we will reflect on our journaling provision and adapt it to suit our needs moving forward. What I do know so far is that the benefits we have seen from journaling for our pupils have been completely worth all the effort that we have put in. Watching their confidence grow and their love of maths soar, even through online learning, has been so rewarding. But even more so has been the changes that we've seen in how our students communicate, how their language skills have developed, and how they can reason mathematically, debate, and justify their opinion, regardless of what language they speak. Thank you all for listening to my presentation. I could probably talk for another 2 hours about this topic because I'm so passionate about maths mastery and journaling, but I hope that this short insight into my journey with journaling and the benefits on language development has been helpful. I look forward to answering your questions, but if you need any more information after this session, please don't hesitate to contact me. My email is on the screen. Thank you.